for the minute? Okay. Can I get a motion for the approval of the February 24th, 26th, and March 12th, 26th minutes? Rob and Paul, thank you. I did. Yeah, we have enough now. According to them. All right, motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to informational items. We will skip down to our PCAPS update. Do we have, as I was looking through, do we have Becca here? We'll move on.
Yeah, Becky's dealing with a situation at the shelter and really not anything other than what's in the packet. We're going to add to the administrator's weekly update a story that was in my professional association's trade association magazine that talks about the growing influence of trap, spay, neuter programs across the country. We were a little bit ahead of the curve on that and the success that it's bringing across the industry.
Well, a shout out to our PCAPS team. They're always doing great work. We'll go ahead and move on then to our juvenile probation report. And you're there. Thank you.
Good afternoon. So I'm trying something a little different this time by putting in an informational item. And that was by design, really to give you guys the opportunity to digest the contents of the reports instead of me just getting up and speaking numbers. So hopefully this really goes to improve the communication, addressing the questions that I often receive from board members, and providing outcome data from our department. So I do have a couple comments, and then I'll kind of highlight some of the reports that are in the packets. So I'm often asked what I do, what court services is, and why I choose this career. Most people hear probation or juvenile detention, and they immediately think of law enforcement, punishment, and incarceration. The truth is, we are quite different from these assumptions. Of course, there's an accountability element to what we do, but we aim to change behavior by using evidence-based techniques to help people develop the cognitive and problem-solving skills necessary to change their thinking patterns. Initially, I chose this career for a very practical reason. You guys were hiring and you had benefits. And back in 1999, that was a hot commodity. What kept me here was seeing that our work profound impact on people's lives, their families, and to our community. When we are successful in what we do, we have fewer victims, stronger families, and safer communities. The single most often question that I get is, what am I doing about the crime problem, particularly the juvenile crime problem? My answer has always been the same. This is a community issue that requires a community solution. This question also fascinates me because I think it underscores the broader truth. Public safety is not the responsibility of one person, a single agency, or a system. It requires collective ownership from all the stakeholders. Public safety begins at intervention and prevention, tackling the root causes of crime, addressing the criminogenic needs, investing in preventive measures, and strengthening our collaboration amongst our stakeholders. So I apologize in advance, these are so long, so I promise I won't read them. So I'll just highlight each report. So I broke them down to adult probation, juvenile probation, and our juvenile detention center. So I'll start with adult probation. In 2025, we serviced 9,623 clients throughout the year. So that number includes the cases coming in, cases being terminated. We have 8 different case types. All of them are driven by the type of crimes, court orders, and supervision level. Supervision levels are all based on our risk assessments that we do. I put in there percentage. I had several questions of what are your outcome data. So if you look at the different numbers, they kind of vary pretty greatly, but a lot of that is based on what those clients are charged with and their risk levels. So some of the things that are kind of highlighted in our domestic violence cases, we have 58% success rate. I predict that number will increase next year with our new position that you guys approved in this year's budget, so we can reduce those numbers and increase that supervision level on those clients. Most of those clients are in our higher and very high range. We also have the redeploy. A lot of questions on our adult redeploy. It's very different than our juvenile redeploy. Those are some of our highest risk clients. Most of them have already been in and out of the Department of Corrections several times. So that's not a surprise that is our 21% success rate. Another thing I want to highlight in adult probation is our problem-solving courts. They continually to be successful, and these clients pose all kinds of trauma, substance abuse, just a lot of issues. And so to see that at 55% success rate is pretty encouraging. The length of probation varies. A lot of that is driven by court orders and compliance with the court orders and compliance with court services. We have 4 grants in adult probation. Adult redeploy. We have Administrative Office of Illinois Drug Court. We have a DUI court through the Illinois Department of Transportation. We also have a domestic violence grant. Those fund programs, staff, some of them full benefits and salaries. Another highlight in adult probation is we didn't have any turnover in 2025. So that's really good news. So we didn't have any employees leave and we didn't hire anybody in 2025. Summary, as of this year, we did have 1 leave and we hired 1. So any questions on adult probation?
Brian, specifically on adult probation, the completion rates do seem low, especially compared to the other reports. How does this compare with both previous years and other counties?
That is a great question. We are having difficulty pulling that data since we migrated to our new eSoup through Tyler. So hopefully we'll be able to get some of that data in that conversion. A lot of the data came over, so I will put that on my to-do list to kind of go back and look at years past.
Thank you.
So we're still working out some of the kinks.
Sure.
It's been 20 months, but we're working on it. Any other questions on adult probation? Okay, we'll move on to juvenile probation. We serviced 604 clients, over 1,001 cases coming in. We have significantly lower types of cases, so there's only 4 types of cases. Again, we have the juvenile redeploy, which is very much different than adult redeploy, but that is a grant. We implemented the Youth Opportunity Court, which is a problem-solving court for juveniles. And that is just a direct reaction to some of the events that we are seeing in the public with our juveniles committing some of these offenses. We had 1 youth enter in December, and we're working out that. And we hope to have about 20-25 throughout this year. So the other major caseload is we do have a sex offender caseload, but it's a little about 20. So we have 3 grants in juvenile probation. We have the juvenile redeploy, we have the juvenile justice grant, which that grant allowed us to restart the juvenile justice, which is the sole purpose of collaboration amongst stakeholders. And Scott has participated from day one on that. We've had a really good turnout from a wide range of different stakeholders. One of the requirements of that grant is that we report out to the board once our strategic plan is done and the city council. So you can, once that's done, we'll be reporting back. We also have the Cure Violence grant that was originally from the health department that was transferred over to us. Summary of staffing has been a challenge in juvenile probation. In 2025, we had a 60% turnover rate. We had 6 employees leave and 8 were hired. As thus far in 2026, is not getting any better. We've had 5 employees leave already, and we have replaced them with 4 new hires. So looking at retention efforts, we've implemented stay interviews, exit interviews, try to get some data of why. So we're getting kind of an idea of some of the things. So, but really we're looking at culture, professional development, and training. Seem to be some of the indicators so far. Any questions on juvenile probation?
I will say your report listed in terms of staffing the inability to secure qualified internships and departmental training deficits. Can you elaborate on those 2 points?
We have a lot of mental health college grads, and they want to do like an internship to get into their supervision. We don't have anybody qualified to supervise them in that particular field.
Okay.
So they usually go to like the hospital or something like that.
And the training deficits?
Juvenile probation traditionally has never experienced turnover. So it's one of our initiatives to really beef up the training and look at that. So historically, you didn't have somebody leave for extended years. So it's a new thing to that department. So it is something we've identified, we've reorganized, prioritized the training. So when you have 5 or 6 new employees coming in at one time, and you've not had one in a couple years, a little bit problematic.
Sure. Any other questions on juvenile? Oh, yes, Paul.
Thank you. Are most of the turnover, they're not lasting very long? I mean, they come in, they find out what it is, and it's not their cup of tea, basically.
It's challenging work. We're in the community, we're in the homes. You have to deal with some verbally abusive parents and difficult kids. So it is a challenging environment. We have taken some steps to increase our salaries. That certainly has helped. But they still have other opportunities. It's just the market. There's still several opportunities where they don't have to be in the homes and deal with some challenging clients and parents.
Real quick, also with the juvenile probation, do we have data that shows where those cases end up if we see them again, either on the adult side or in the sheriff's experiences?
We could definitely look at that. Yes. I will say on the juvenile redeploy clients, we did see an 88% decrease in the IDJJ commitments.
Okay.
So that's a pretty significant increase.
Sure.
What that tells us is our judges and our system are keeping the kids with us so we can provide those services. Because once we know, what we know is they go to IDJJ and they're out in 60, 90 days. And then we're out so we don't have any oversight or supervision. So they are keeping them with us so we can provide them with some more wraparound services. Juvenile probation is not just with that particular youth. It is very family-centered, trying to identify what's going on.
Now that you said 88% reduction,
Yes.
what's the time period for that?
That was last year, 2025.
Okay.
So
That's great.
And that is one of the key metrics for the juvenile program, is really to wrap around services to the family to reduce the number of kids. That's where that money comes from the state, that have reduced their population on the state system. So they're reallocating some of those dollars in the front.
Yes, Paul.
Thank you, Ken. Are the ones that were doing the probation, are they all Peoria County residents, or are these from other counties too that we're doing?
They're all, we do have transfers in, transfers out. So if a Peoria County kid goes to Tazewell, or any county, if you will, they reside in Peoria County, but they get arrested and charged Tazewell, they will transfer that, but they still reside in Peoria. Okay, last but not least, juvenile detention department. So we did have a little bit more data in here, because we have some key metrics I thought was interesting for the board. So we did see a 26% reduction in the number of admissions. So that is the number of actual intakes. We did receive a reduction out of county. That's by design because of our staffing. So we have not been taking as many out of counties. However, so we went from 431 in 2024 to 322 in 2025. But what we're seeing is a dramatic increase in the violent nature of the crimes. Murder, weapon charges, unlawful use of weapons, and the range of those. The batteries, those are really kind of unprecedented times in seeing this number of kids that are coming through our doors with those kind of charges. The number of kids being transferred to adult court, which is an indicator on the severity of the charges. For example, we used to have 1 or 2 out of 40, 50 kids. Now we have about 16, 17 that are currently in there. And that's a direct reflection on our increase in our average length of stay. So in 2024, we were at 21 days. That's up to 30 in 2020. So kids are staying much longer. Several kids we've had year and a half, 2 years. So that definitely stretches out there. Within that, so again, it's really those kids being transferred on those major charges. They're staying much longer, which makes our average daily population the same, even though we're doing less on the front end. Also within Juvenile Detention Center, we operate a detention alternative program, home detention. We had 160 admissions to that program. So all that budget is in JDC's budget. We have a couple staff assigned to that. One of our supervisors, our management team supervises that program. Highlight is, this is basically pre-trial for juveniles. We have 75% success rate. That is defined as no new charges and showing back up to your court hearings, which is the literal definition of pretrial. So that's pretty good to see that number. We average 25 kids on that caseload. They do home visits. They're out meeting them in schools, checking on their compliance with the court orders. The average length of stay there is 58. We do have the ability, based on their compliance level, to hook up a electronic monitoring or take it off based on. So one of the questions we get a lot is, why use detention alternatives? So research consistently shows that secure detention increases the likelihood, disrupts their education, their family stability. It disproportionately impacts youth of color, and it's, as we all know, is significantly more expensive community-based options. Detention alternatives aim to improve the court appearance rates, reduce recidivism, maintain community safety in the community at a fraction of the cost. We have 3 grants, and only one of them is a true grant. The other ones are partnerships. So we have an Illinois Agriculture in the Classroom that provides us with free curriculum and books dedicated to the agricultural world. A Libertation Library partnership that we can order books from at no cost. So that's been pretty successful. And then we have a art grant that we just got in the fall for $12,000 to hire one of the local artists to come in and work with the order supplies. You've heard me say over the last 4 or 5 years the nuance or the onslaught, I would say, of oversight. We have the Budsman offices of the new legislative changes. We have new standards from AOIC, new standards from IDJJ. So put in there that we had our health department inspection, Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice, administration of Office of Courts, and our PREA audit all this year. Next year, in addition to those, we'll have the National Commission of Correctional Healthcare and the Correctional Education Association. So those are some of the standards and audits that we have to go through. Our partnership with education is Limestone. They provide 3 teachers. CEPCO provides 1 special ed teacher and 1 special aide to help serve. We also have a partnership with the Peoria Public Schools District to credit recovery through the Edgenuity platform. So kids that have accounts, we have laptops, they can log in there and get their credit recovery. That really helps with the transition when they get released back into their home school. Staffing summary, not a positive. So we're at 107% last year. We hired 37 employees, or 37 employees left, and we hired 43. As of this year so far, we've had 5 employees leave, and we've hired 11. We have current 9 openings as of the 9th. We have 5 off on work comp / light duty and unavailable to work. I also put in there the turnover rate since COVID, 53%, 116, 64, 75, 61, and now 107. Applicant pool 2, I thought was pretty interesting data. But on a positive note, last year we had 155 applicants, which is the highest since 2016. One caveat is just because you apply doesn't mean you qualified. You do have to have a 4-year degree. We do have a waiver for a 2-year degree. People do apply, no degrees or felonies. So, but that's the total numbers of the applicants. So on the front side, we're getting the applicants, we're getting people at the door. We're just having a very difficult time meeting them. To give you an idea on a new employee at JEC, it's 120 hours of training in their first year. So a little bit of challenges there, but that's kind of where we are on the staffing. Kind of what we're trying to do on there on the staffing retention efforts is really looking at the employee coaching model. Our staffing has changed, our applicants have changed. They need more one-on-one coaching sessions, so we've trained our supervisors on how to effectively communicate, have those kind of critical feedbacks, because that's what the employees have asked for. We're looking at that. We've addressed the compensation pretty good over the last 3 years, so pretty happy where we are with that. But it is a terribly difficult job too. In addition to the non-traditional hours, verbal assaults, physical assaults, and the staffing issues make that. Overall, again, looking at the employee recognition, which is one of the indicators from our exit interviews, you guys need to do a better job of recognizing the positives. So, and that just really goes into the workplace culture. We did work with Andre and Brittany to do kind of some focus groups. So I put some of that data in. Happy to answer any questions on the detention center.
I know one common question is with the staffing issues and the overtime, why continue taking out-of-county clients? Can you speak to that?
I would like not to take out of county. That's one of the reasons we reduce some of those. We still get calls weekly, daily, and that's one of the reduction as we're trying to shrink that down. But it is a revenue stream, so it's a catch-22. Knox County closed, so we had them reach out, wanted the bed space. We told them no. Rock Island used Knox County, wanted to use us. We don't have enough staff to take care of the kids that we do now, so we certainly couldn't take any more than already obligated. And I see that trend continuing until our staffing can stabilize.
Other questions?
All right, thank you.
Can you also speak to what follow-up services are available to kids or adults in any of the three different areas, and who provides those follow-up services afterwards?
Yeah, so reentry services. I know that the sheriff works pretty hard on the reentry, and that is definitely an area that we're looking at. To answer your question, we don't do very well in that area, but it's one of the things that we're trying to coordinate with juvenile probation and the detention center. It's easier if the kid is on probation. It's the kids that aren't on probation and they get released. It's tricky because we don't have any jurisdiction over them, but certainly we could help facilitate and coordinate services. And so that's kind of looking at Family Corps and some of the social service agencies out there. How can we get to them some services to stop them and intervene for them to continue down.
Well, thank you for putting these reports together. They were helpful and a little easier to digest individually like that.
And I'm happy to, if there's anything you think you want to add, I'm happy to come back and add those in another presentation.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our strategic plan 26 quarter one update. Is that you, Melissa?
Good afternoon, everyone. In your packets this week includes the first quarter update on the strategic plan 2026 action items. Nothing is reporting up to your committee, but that doesn't mean it won't in previous action items or next year's action items, but nonetheless, you'll be receiving this at the end of every quarter. And the website is also up to date. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on the strategic plan?
Thank
Another
you.
easy one. Thank you. We'll move along to our intergovernmental agreement between Peoria County and Pleasant Valley. You're up, Sheriff. Can I get a motion for Paul and Rob? Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is one of three contracts that are due of our school resource officers. The first one is Pleasant Valley. We have one school resource officer. He bounces back and forth between the elementary and the middle school for Pleasant Valley. Great relationship with him. This is a 3-year contract, 3% increase each year. If you remember, we did a cost study the last contract, which really significantly increased all my contracts. So we think 3% still keeps us above, our profit levels. The idea is the next go around, we'll probably do another cost study to see where we're at and see what those increases look like.
You had previously mentioned the language is pretty similar to what we've had before with the addition of the SRO training, excuse me.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of slight difference in language from some legislation that passed that we have to add SRO training, which we already do. Both of our legal teams looked at that and approved it.
Paul, did you have a question? Any questions? Thank you, Sheriff. If there's no questions, go ahead and vote. Motion passes. Thank you. Can I also get a motion for the agreement with Illini Bluffs? And Sharon and Brandy, thank you.
Yep, exact same template. One school resource officer for Illini Bluffs. We started with them a few years ago. I think right when I became sheriff, they approached me. Once again, a really great relationship. They love their SRO. They want another 3-year contract. 3% raises the exact same amount as the previous one. Yeah, same thing.
Assume no questions. Go ahead and vote. All right, that's unanimous as well. And now we'll move on to our last one of these, which is Princeville. Oh, I
Yep.
need a motion. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Can I get a motion on that one? Thank you, Paul and Rob.
So this is similar to the first two with Princeville High School and grade school. The only little difference on this one is they split the cost with the village. So same price, 3% increases, 3 years. The language is just structured a little bit different because they split the cost with the village of Princeville and the school district.
Any questions? Go ahead and vote. All right, motion passes. We have one more with the sheriff here for our law enforcement camera grant. Can I get a motion? Brandy and Paul, thank you.
So this is a Let's Be body camera grant that we applied for. Once again, we have an amazing grant team with Lindsay and Ashley, our CFOs here also. They've been very successful in obtaining grants. Put it this way, the last time we got this grant was several years ago, and it was $20,000. Now or almost $30,000. This one's over $500,000. That ranges over a couple of years. So obviously, body cameras and in-car dash cameras are very expensive, but they're great. Everything's intertwined with Axon, with Evidence.com, with the State Attorney's Office. It's been really nice. I mean, we definitely have some of the best systems out there that they provide. So this, they did a really good job getting this money for us, and it helps tremendously.
Great. And thank you from the board for securing that money as well. Any questions on this grant? No? Easy enough. Go ahead and vote. All right, motion passes. We'll move on to public comment. None, miscellaneous. All right, we're adjourned.